Hi, we're the Vincent family from Booragul Angus. Oakley is the principal property, is where we are at the moment. It's located between Tamworth and Gunnedah, a little town of Pilaway. Since then we've added 3 other properties onto it, which are a mix of grazing and farming properties. We're trying to grow a balance of cereal crops to oilseed crops to legume pastures to more conventional pastures, and everything seems to come together. We've got a pretty fair rotation going on. Our good farming country is sort of good heavy black soil, self-mulching country, up to our lighter country here at Oakley, which is what I'd describe as more of a red loam Kurrajong type country. We have a fair bit of native pasture, which is just fertilised by a plane every 2 or 3 years, and then otherwise it's untouched. Otherwise, most of the other country is improved through either pastures or cropping in one way or another. Totaling about 3,500 acres. I'm joined with my wife Margaret and children Amy and Hayden. My main principal role, I guess, is manager and running Booragul Angus. I mainly focus on the livestock side of it, the cattle breeding and selling of that side of it. I leave others to handle more of the grain growing in our cropping operation. Margaret is chained to the desk. She is involved with all the paperwork basically involved in running a stud and running a property. Daughter Amy is a nurse in Tamworth and helps out when available, and Hayden works full-time on the farm, which is mixed farming, which is a lot more cereal growing, crop growing and feeding cattle for coals. I was brought up on a farm, so I guess from day one I've always been involved in agriculture. The path taken towards cattle was something which I've enjoyed, setting up Booragul Angus. Look, Angus cattle have they've been a juggernaut, I think, in the last 30 years from when I started. And not only do I mean that in the growth of the Angus cattle, but the growth of the quality of the Angus cattle, all tied in with those selection traits that are really accurate that we can work with these days. You know, I think it's just been a forward motion, and we've been lucky that we've been led by a good breed society. We've had some really good people involved in that, and some people sort of really on the front foot of industry. It's interesting how a lot of other breeds and breed societies try to follow what Angus has set up in the last few years, and I think that's great because it's improved our cattle, and I guess more importantly it's improved the quality of meat. We have to be focused on eating quality and run hand in hand with that for a number of years now. Look, I guess our main aims are, I don't know, the old saying, keep it simple, stupid, is very much comes to the forefront sometimes, because I think you can overanalyse things, and single trait selection is certainly dangerous, I believe. So we just look for a balanced type animal. We're on the doorstep of 3 or 4 pretty major feedlots here in northern New South Wales and southern Queensland. There's a lot of demands for a good carcass weight and obviously IMF, and we're at the stage we won't use bulls unless they're above breed average for IMF and carcass weight. And if you follow along those lines without sort of pushing it too hard, I think you can have a pretty good balance. Maternally, the cow has to work, she has to milk, she has to calve every year, but they're all basics of breeding cattle. And look, we're very lucky, Angus cattle do that, and they've done it easily. We've just got to keep tweaking the traits a little bit for some of the carcass requirements we need for the industry these days, and keep an eye on a few of the trends and that, and if we think it's something that we should be applying here, well, we've got to look at it. A good day of work probably culminates in our bull sale. 3 years of work go into that by the time you select your genetics. Hope they work, hope the data and the genomics and everything lines up to where you want to be, when you made that decision 3 years ago. And then to see the people coming back who have been with us since we've started our sales, and even private sales for that long, to say, what have we got this year, what's different, what have we done, and, they keep doing it. So I think that's a very rewarding day. There's a lot of pressure on it, puts pressure on family and staff and making the right decision at the time. When it all comes together, and it doesn't often fail, I think it's a pretty rewarding day. I guess my journey and my family's journey through this Angus family has been a tremendous experience for me as a young person getting involved. I got involved with some really good people that wanted to spend a lot of time with you. In my early days, I spent time at Booragul Angus judging school. You know, the people I met there, and you know, some of those people aren't with us anymore, but they had a major influence on where I am today. They were, you know, some of those early people you certainly looked up to, and some of their thoughts on breeding cattle in those days I've certainly tried to apply here. And their families have sort of continued their operations like our families have, and you know, our children know their children and they all mix, and I think that's very important. We don't cross paths a lot because we're from Victoria to Queensland and New South Wales to WA, but you know, we're still good friends, and we still, you know, when we do catch up, we have quality time together, and I think that's very important. And Angus, and I think through the society and the strength of society, has been very important to us in that mix of, you know, where we are. The future for Booragul Angus, and I think the future for Angus is very, very strong. We have our goals, I guess, to continue producing a line of bulls carrying the right genetics for the industry. I think we've just got to continue to do what we do and be aware of market change and work with the industry to, you know, secure our future.